Did you see Davis's last fight against Roach?
Yes.
You did see it?
Yeah.
Because I know you don't, these days, you don't always watch all the fights. And what'd you think of the fight?
I thought Roach won the fight. It was a close fight.
You see Davis?
I think Davis has to start taking boxing seriously. You know, it's not just a media kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know the kid.
All three, I think, would beat Davis. I really believe that. But that's why they do the fights, you know? You get in the ring and you determine who's better.
Bob Arum is now one of many boxing experts who think the March 1st fight between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis was unfair. He believes the officials were against Roach. Even when Davis didn't fight well, the judges still gave him the round. This made Arum criticize the fight. He supports a rematch, but hopes the judges will be fair this time since the whole world will be watching.
But he seems sort of ordinary.
In that fight, to you. Do you think, you know, he wins the rematch, though? Perhaps he comes in with a better mind state?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know the kid.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's capable of changing.
What made you want to, sometimes you don't watch the...
Legendary boxing promoter Bob Arum gave a strong warning to Gervonta Davis after his controversial draw against Lamont Roach on March 1st. Arum believes Davis looked weak and average in the fight and told him to take boxing seriously again. I thought Roach won. It was a close fight, Arum told Sean Zittel. Davis needs to take boxing seriously. It's not just about media. He looks ordinary, and I'm not sure if he can change. Davis, who is undefeated at 30-01, struggled against Roach and even took a knee in the 9th round. However, the referee did not count it as a knockdown, which caused...
Want to get a good look at him?
Yeah, I want to get a look at him because he's been mentioned as a possible opponent for fighters that I promote.
Are you looking at Keyshawn Davis as potentially like the flagship fighter of the company now? The guy to build around?
I really think so. I think
Kaur beats him. I think Teofimo beats him. And I think Lomachenko beats him. Well, Tank Davis is an excellent fighter, and he's a big attraction. So sure, we would like to match any of the guys that you've mentioned against Tank Davis and see how well they would do. I like our guys to win the fight, but that's why they do the fights, right? So, again, we're open to any of that.
Arum isn't just casually interested in Davis's career. He sees him as a possible opponent for his young fighters at top rank, like Keyshawn Davis, Raymond Muratalla, and Abdullah Mason. However, after watching Davis's fight with Roach, Arum is now questioning his future. I wanted to take a good look at him because he's been mentioned as a possible opponent for my fighters, Arum said. Davis, on the other hand, might look for bigger paydays by fighting someone like Jake Paul or going for a rematch with Ryan Garcia.
You know, as far as Tank Davis is concerned, I think that more and more we're talking with BBC and we'll be making fights with them.
Is part of,
Davis will likely face Roach again soon, but it's not confirmed yet. He could choose a different opponent. Their fight was ruled a majority draw with scores of 115, 113, 114, 114, and 114, 114. Roach appealed the decision because of a controversial call by referee Steve Willis in round 9. Davis went down on one knee seconds after Roach landed a left hand. Willis started a 10 count, but suddenly stopped and decided not to call it a knockdown. After the fight, Davis said he took the knee to wipe his eyes because grease from his braids was bothering him. However, boxing rules don't allow fighters to take their own timeouts, meaning his kneeling should have been counted as a knockdown.
Cards, judge at the ringside. Eric Marlinski scores it on 115 to 113 in favor of Gervonta Davis. Judges Steve Weisfeld and Glenn Feldman both scores about 114 to 114, even a draw. The decision is a majority draw.
If Davis's kneeling had been ruled a knockdown, Roach likely would have won on all three judges' scorecards. Two judges gave round 9 to Davis, but if the knockdown had been counted, they would have likely scored it 10-8 for Roach. That would have changed the final scores to 114-113, 114-113, and 115-112, all in Roach's favor. The New York State Athletic Commission, NYSAC, uses instant replay to overturn incorrect referee decisions, but due to a technical issue, a review wasn't possible on fight night.
When you heard the decision?
Nobody like a draw, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more, and I should have did more. I was lost in I lost track in the rounds. That's why we need, what is it called? Yeah.
The New York State Athletic Commission, NYSAC, admitted that Roach should have been credited with a knockdown in round 9 and that referee Steve Willis made a mistake. However, even though the commission has the power to change the result and add the knockdown, it chose not to do so. Despite NYSAC's decision to keep the fight a draw, Roach has a strong chance of getting a rematch with Davis. If it happens, the rematch would likely come with a much bigger payday than the first fight.
I didn't know what round it was. Facts.
Tank, Eric Blum from DailyMail.com. First off, your coach just said, can you confirm, did you get your hair done 2 days before the fight?
Yeah. I ran water over it today, but I must ain't do it enough.
Can you describe what the feeling was like in the...
Since Davis holds a WBA title, the WBA can order him to fight Roach again. If he refuses, he could be stripped of his belt. WBA President Gilberto Mendoza told the ring that he is ready to order a rematch. Davis also has the option to voluntarily fight Roach again, because his contract included a rematch clause if he didn't win. After the fight, Davis confirmed his interest, posting on social media, "Say no more, I'm pushing for a rematch."
Was it to get the towel out to get the burn out of your eyes, or what was going on? And
I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get caught while my eyes was burning. And you can get knocked out like that. So I'd rather take the knee than, But I didn't really know that you can get disqualified for all that. Or when you start counting, I'm like, what the hell? But I don't know. It's cool.
Do you want that rematch next? And if so, how?
Legendary top-ranked promoter Bob Arum has been in boxing for over 50 years, and at 93 years old, he's still going strong. Throughout his career, he has promoted many big names, but he now believes one of his rising stars has the potential to become one of the best in the world. The lightweight division has become one of the most exciting weight classes in recent years, thanks to top fighters like Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson, and Vasily Lomachenko.
Sheik and the new is part of that prompting you guys to work together more when in the past you may not have.
That is correct.
Okay. So that's competition in the marketplace is a good thing, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you think you make that Xander Zayas Fundora fight?
Yes. I think that
Gervonta Davis is the current WBA champion. Shakur Stevenson holds the WBC title, and Vasily Lomachenko has the IBF belt. However, Bob Arum told YSM Sports Media that he believes rising contender Keyshawn Davis can beat them all. "I favor Keyshawn over anybody in the lightweight division right now, including Lomachenko," Arum said. "If Lomachenko comes back, I don't think he'll be as great as before. He was never really big enough for lightweight. He was better at featherweight and junior lightweight. I think Keyshawn is the best in the division. Arum is also working to protect boxing from outside influences like Saudi Arabia and Dana White's growing involvement in the sport. With Turkey Al Sheikh's increasing presence in boxing, Arum sees it as a challenge to the sport's traditional structure.
a good fight for both of them, and it'll create a lot of interest.
So is it more important now than ever that you guys do have a good relationship putting together fights?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because the Saudis are paying a lot of money for the fights that they put on, and we avail ourselves of that money with our fighters. But to make big fights on our own.
Veteran promoter Bob Arum knows that taking on the new forces in boxing alone won't work. So why not join forces instead? That seems to be the message he hinted at in a recent interview. The rise of Riyadh Season's TKO boxing has shaken up the sport with its unique format and promise to make boxing great again. However, many are still unsure how this new promotion will operate and how it will work alongside existing promoters and sanctioning bodies. The uncertainty has fueled speculation and concern within the boxing world. To stay ahead of these changes, Arum may look to form alliances, potentially even reaching out to his longtime rival Al Heyman's PBC. And what better way to solidify a new partnership than by putting on a major event featuring a boxing superstar? In interview The conversation started with the possibility of Vasily Lomachenko's return, and then Bob Arum discussed the title fight between Lamont Roach Jr. and Gervonta Davis earlier this month. Like many others, Arum felt Roach Jr. had done enough to earn a win. The discussion then shifted to the title unification involving top ranks Keyshawn Davis, Tank Davis, and Shakur Stevenson. Arum ruled out a potential fight between Keyshawn, whom he compared to Sugar Ray Leonard, and his friend Shakur Stevenson. However, he admitted that in boxing, things can always change. As for Tank Davis, Arum said, "We're talking more and more with PBC, and we'll be making fights with them." The veteran promoter emphasized that collaborations with PBC are becoming more likely.
In many cases, we need to work together with BBC, and they need to work with us.
How do you think the logistics of that work itself out network-wise? Because those were always roadblocks in the past.
Yeah, but there aren't anymore. I mean, they do most of their...
As Sean Zittel continued the discussion, he pointed out that the rise of Saudi-backed boxing events is driving U.S. promoters to work together more than before. Bob Arum agreed, acknowledging that this competition is encouraging more collaboration. Zittel also mentioned the potential face-off between PBC's Sebastian Fundora and Top Rank's Xander Zayas, asking, "Is it more important now than ever that you guys have a good relationship and work together? To put on fights?" Arum responded strongly, saying, "Absolutely, absolutely." He went on to explain, "The Saudis are paying a lot of money for the fights they put on, and we take advantage of that money for our fighters. But to make big fights on our own, we often need to work together with PBC, and they need to work with us."
Pay-per-view with Prime, and we have a great relationship with Prime, particularly in Japan.
With the new
Inouye.
Right. Do you, I know you've mentioned others, DAZN, Netflix is getting into, what do you think?
Arum also ruled out previously existing roadblocks, such as issues related to networks. The news of the TKO Riyadh season deal raised concerns across the boxing world. When questioned about it, Oscar D. La Hoya expressed feeling slightly offended, particularly by the idea that Dana White was taking over boxing. "I did hear that he passed over the reins of boxing to Dana White. Well, that comment to me I felt a little offended," said the Golden Boy. He later added, "So what I'm going to do is stay in my lane, do what I do for Golden Boy, and with DAZN, and give the fight fans the best fight that can possibly be made." Sean Zittel pointed out that boxing could start to resemble the corporate world in some ways, with increased competition among stakeholders leading to better fights and events for the fans. From a broader perspective, the rise of Saudi-backed TKO boxing might turn out to be a positive development for the sport, despite many current doubts.
Pay-per-view with Prime, and we have a great relationship with Prime, particularly in Japan.
With the new
Inouye.
Right. Do you,
Not long after the Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach fight, Rumors started circulating about a potential matchup between Jake Paul and Tank Davis, especially if Tank could get past Lamont Roach Jr. on March 1st. But with the fight ending in a draw, those plans quickly faded. Just a day ago, Fight Hub TV caught up with Timothy Bradley Jr. in Las Vegas at the Michaela Mayer versus Sandy Ryan weigh-in. During a brief conversation, they asked Bradley for his thoughts on Tank's recent draw. Bradley didn't hold back, saying that while Tank knows what he brings to the table, after seeing how tough Lamont Roach Jr. was mentally and physically during their fight, he realized there's still work to be done.
You've mentioned others, DAZN, Netflix is getting into. What do you think Top Rank lands after ESPN?
Well, all I know is we're going to...
Timothy. Bradley believes that Lamont Roach has Gervonta Davis's number, saying, "It could be the same result. Styles make fights." He explained that anyone who can take a punch and stay tough has a chance against Tank Davis. Lamont Roach is mentally tough, and he was able to execute his game plan, moving forward in spots and controlling a lot of the pressure, Bradley said. He hits hard enough to get Tank's respect. Roach landed on Tank, and he was mentally battling back and forth. He handled his business and did a great job.
It's gonna be interesting to see, man.
So we see the same when Gervonta rematches Lamont Roach.
Could be, yeah, because the styles make fights, man.
Speaking on a potential rematch, Bradley said that a win for Davis would help him regain the respect of fans, despite the controversy in their first fight. Tank knows what he brings to the table, and he knows he's a tough opponent, Bradley said. He knows his style is tough as well, so I'm sure he'll go back to the drawing board and see what they can improve on. They'll put their best foot forward. Bradley also pointed out that Roach putting Tank on the canvas in the 9th round should serve as all the motivation Davis needs to come back stronger in the rematch.
He handled his business. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. He did a great job. Him and his team had him ready. You know, the second time around, I mean, look, Tank.
Bradley expressed frustration, saying, "The fact that you got a draw, had a big fight lined up with Jake Paul after this, and now you have to wait for a rematch. Bro, if this doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will." He also pointed out that Tank Davis's name is being dragged through the mud, with fans who were once on his side now switching teams. That's the reality of boxing, Bradley said. To avoid further criticism, Bradley emphasized that Davis needs to prove himself, not just to himself, but also to his fans. His message was clear. If Tank handles his business in the rematch and does what he should have done the first time around, then all the negativity is gone. Fans are quick to criticize, but they're just as quick to forgive when a fighter delivers. In the ring.
Tank knows what he brings. You know, Tank knows he's a tough opposition. Tank knows that his style is tough as well. I'm sure Tank's gonna go back to the drawing board and see where they can improve in or improve on, and you know they're gonna come back and he gonna put their...
After the rematch, Bradley believes Tank Davis will be back to bigger fights, possibly even the showdown with Jake Paul. He sees Paul as the likely next opponent for Tank, but first, Davis needs to clean up the mess from the Roach fight. In case you missed it, the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight was actually in the works a few weeks ago. Boxing insider Dan Rafael shared an update on X, saying, sources, Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul exhibition was in works until the Lamont Roach draw. Tank instead invokes rematch, June sequel planned. Had Tank won his fight against Lamont Roach Jr., we'd likely be talking about a Tank versus Jake Paul showdown right now. But since the fight ended in a draw, those plans were put on hold.
It's gonna be interesting to see, man. So
we see the same when Gervonta rematches Lamont Roach.
Could be, yeah, because the styles make fights, man. And obviously, Lamont Roach, man. Look, anybody that can take a shot and that's tough, bro, and that can take it to Tank, they can beat him. All right, Roach, he mentally tough. Had his game plan, was able to execute, was able to march forward in spots. He was able to control a lot of the action.
The 54-year-old later confirmed in an interview with Boxing News that the talks about a fight between Tank Davis and Jake Paul were very real. They were definitely talking. They were absolutely 100% talking, he said. Had Tank Davis won that fight against Lamont Roach, I think it would have been a very good bet that they were going to do the fight between Jake Paul and Tank Davis. Multiple sources told Fight Freaks Unite that the negotiations for the Jake Paul fight were already happening behind the scenes. Now, it's all about whether they'll settle their business after Tank finishes his rematch with Lamont Roach either in June or July. Do you think another fighter should face Tank Davis instead? How do you see that fight ending? Stay connected. For the latest updates in the world of boxing by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop more quality content like this. Until next time, peace out.
You know, the fact you got to draw, the fact that you had a big fight lined up with Jake Paul after this, and now you got to wait, and now you got to do this rematch, bro. If this don't motivate you, I don't know what will. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, his name right now is getting drugged through the mud. You know, and all those fans that was on his side, bro, a lot of them are switching teams now, you know? So, you know, look, he got a lot to prove, not only to himself, but a lot to prove to his fans and his fan base out there. So he go back in there, had his rematch, and he do what he's supposed to do, like he's supposed to do the first time around.